Now, depending on the behavior of the different materials, when placed in an external magnetic field, they are classified into three different categories. One is paramagnetic, diamagnetic, and ferromagnetic materials. First one is paramagnetic. Diamagnetic, and third one is the ferromagnetic. We shall discuss here the properties of the ferromagnetic material in detail. The paramagnetic materials are those which are weakly attracted by the magnets, and when placed in an external magnetic field, they are attracted towards the stronger part of the field. And the examples are aluminium, manganese, and platinum. Now, diamagnetic substances are those which are repelled by the magnet, and when placed in an external magnetic field, they are repelled by the stronger part of the magnetic field. The famous example is bismuth. Bismuth and phosphorus. Antimony, etc. And ferromagnetic materials are those which are strongly attracted by the magnets, and when placed in an external magnetic field, they can be magnetized. That means you can produce a permanent magnet with the help of the ferromagnetic material. It is iron, cobalt, nickel, and their alloys. Now, all these properties of ferromagnetic, diamagnetic, and paramagnetic properties, they arise due to the spin magnetic moment of the electrons on the atoms of the concerned substances. Now, actually each atom of the ferromagnetic material is paramagnetic in character, but they show the behavior of the paramagnetic material to some greater extent. Now, the susceptibility is a positive value for the ferromagnetic material, and permeability is very high. That's why strong magnetization is produced in iron, cobalt, and nickel due to strong permeability. There is a quantity called the susceptibility. Susceptibility represented by this, which is the ratio of the intensity of magnetization to the magnetizing field. Induced magnetic moment per unit volume divided by the magnetizing field by which the magnetic induction is produced. This is susceptibility. It has a positive value for this ferromagnetic material. And permeability, mu, that is equal to magnetic induction by magnetizing field. Mu is very high in case of ferromagnetic material. Now, if we plot the chi versus the external magnetizing field H, chi or say Pm, intensity of magnetization along the y-axis, and here in this figure we plot the magnetic induction or say permeability mu with the external magnetizing field. Now, for small values of H, this Pm increases in such a way that they are proportional to H, and for small values of H, the process is reversible. That means as soon as the external magnetic field is switched off, the substance loses its all induced magnetic moment. That means it comes to its normal condition. But for moderate values of H, the Pm increases rapidly, and for large values of H, it remains constant. That means it reaches its saturation point, it remains constant. This is Pm, and chi, for small values of H, it remains constant for some values and then increases and decreases then. Now from this relation it is clear that when Pm reaches the saturation point, then with the increment in the H, if we go on increasing the external magnetic field, the Pm will not increase, because saturation point means all the molecular magnets are aligned in the direction of the external field. That is, highest point of intensity of magnetization is reached. So Pm will not increase, but H is increasing, so chi will decrease in that case. Similarly, for B, if we plot the same kind of, but in that case, in this case of B, it will not remain constant. It will go on increasing gradually. Here also the mu will also decrease in this way. Now this quantity, susceptibility chi, it is a strong function of the temperature. It depends on temperature. Because as temperature increases, the susceptibility will drop down, and there is a certain point temperature called the critical temperature or Curie temperature, beyond which the ferromagnetic material becomes paramagnetic in character. Because if the thermal temperature is increased, that means thermal agitation in the atoms and molecules will also increase, due to which there is no perfect alignment of the molecular magnets along the direction of the H, because they will vibrate randomly around their mean position, so that obstruct the alignment process. So in that case, the chi will decrease, and that chi, the susceptibility, chi is a function of say temperature, and it is inversely proportional as chi increases with T, that is 1 by T. T is the absolute temperature of the material. Chi is inversely proportional to 1 by T, or we can write chi T is a constant quantity, or we can write say chi into T is equal to constant. This is called the Curie law. This chi T is a constant quantity, chi is inversely proportional to the temperature. Now, and there is a critical temperature beyond which the ferromagnetic material becomes paramagnetic. And this critical temperature is different for different material. Now for steel, and this critical temperature, this is called also the Curie point. Or steel, the Curie point is 770 degrees centigrade. And for cobalt, it is 1100 degrees centigrade, and for nickel it is 400 degrees centigrade. Beyond this temperature, if nickel is at temperature say 450 degrees centigrade, then it will no longer remain a ferromagnetic material, it becomes paramagnetic in character. Now, why this strong? If the ferromagnetic material, each atom and molecule of a ferromagnetic material is paramagnetic in character, then why strong magnetization is produced in the ferromagnetic material? Now, this is called the domain theory of the ferromagnetic material. Why strong magnetization is produced in such material? Now, in paramagnetic material, all the molecular magnets, suppose this is a paramagnetic material, suppose a piece of aluminium. Here all the molecular magnets are arranged randomly in any direction in the normal condition. Okay. Suppose this is aluminium, a paramagnetic material. It is randomly oriented, so that in the normal condition the magnetic moments of each molecular magnet is arranged in such a way that the resultant magnetic moment here is 0. Resultant magnetic moment P, that will be equal to 0 in the normal condition. And when external magnetic field will be applied, they will arrange themselves along the direction of the edge, and a weak magnetic induction will be induced inside the material. Now, in ferromagnetic material, what happens? Suppose this is a piece of iron. Within the material, there are certain regions which are very strongly magnetized, because in that region all the molecular magnets are aligned parallel to each other. Suppose you could divide it into, for the time being, suppose say 4 parts, suppose there are 4 regions. Here in this region, in the first region, all the molecular magnets are aligned in the same direction. So in this small region, here at the boundary, now they will gradually turn in other direction. Similarly here also they are arranged in a particular direction. A simplified version. So there are local regions within the material in which all the molecular magnets are aligned perfectly in a particular direction, so that a strong magnetization is produced in this region, suppose say P1. Here also a strong magnetization is produced P2 in this direction. Here a strong magnetization P3 is produced in this region 3, and here in this region strong magnetization is produced P4. And all these resultant magnetic moments in different regions are such, that means the different regions are aligned themselves within the bulk in such a way that their resultant magnetic moment, that is P1 plus P2 plus P3 plus P4, will be equal to 0 in the normal condition. Therefore, if it is a piece of iron, then in the normal condition it has no magnetic moment. Once we placed it in an external magnetic field, the strong magnetization is produced. How this strong magnetization is produced in the ferromagnetic material, that is called the domain theory of the ferromagnetic material. Now, what are domains? The domains are actually local regions. The domains are local regions within the material within which there is perfect alignment of all the atomic or molecular magnets all the atomic and molecular magnets will align in a particular direction so as to produce a very strong magnetic moment in that region. And these domains contain about 10 to the power 16 or more atoms, and its volume is of the order of 10 to the power minus 4, 10 to the power minus 6 cc, cubic centimeter. Therefore, in a very small region, there is perfect alignment of all the molecular magnets in a particular direction, so that a very strong magnetic moment is produced in that region. But such local regions are arranged themselves in such a way so that the resultant magnetic moment is equal to 0 in the normal condition. Now we see what happens when this ferromagnetic material is placed in an external magnetic field. Suppose a piece of iron is placed in an external magnetic field. So for simplicity, if we draw it in this way, suppose this is a piece of iron, suppose there are 4 regions in which the molecular magnets are placed here in this direction. Here it has a magnetic moment in this direction. Now it is placed in an external magnetic field H. When H is 0, this is the picture. H is 0. No external magnetic field. Normal condition, resultant magnetic moment is 0. Now, when the external magnetizing field is increased, H has a certain positive value, then in that case, this region is favorably oriented with the direction of the external field. So, more and more as the H is there, a strong magnetic field is applied from outside, then more and more molecular magnets try to align themselves in the direction of the external field. And in that case, the area of this favorably oriented domain will increase at the expense of the others. So in that case, you get a situation like this. That means the area of the region number 1 is now increased at the expense of the other. With a certain value of H. Now H is go on increasing. Then again when the value of H is increased, furthermore, you know what will happen? The area of this will also increase. Maybe you get this kind of situation. In this way, a certain stage is reached where all the molecular magnets will align in the direction of the external field. A sufficiently strong external field is applied in which all the molecular magnets are aligned in the direction of the H. Then after then, if we go on increasing the value of H, no further increment in the intensity of magnetization here, that is induced magnetic moment per unit volume. That means in that case, the material reaches its saturation stage, maximum intensity of magnetization. Further increment in H will not increment in the PM intensity because all the molecular magnets are now aligned in the direction. But this process is not very smooth because here in this process of expanding the domain walls, the domain walls is expanding under the action of the external field. So the expansion of the domain walls, they experience certain obstructions in this process, and that obstruction is reached due to the imperfection in the crystalline structure of the material or the impurities present in the material, because piece of iron is not a pure iron. There are some impurities, and the structure of the iron is not a perfect crystalline structure. There may be some imperfection in the crystalline structure, and all these impurities will put obstruction in expanding the domain wall smoothly. So initially when the external magnetic field is applied, this much value, suppose the domain wall comes here and then stops. Further increment of in H, now the PM is not increasing in that case. Then again you have to increase further the value of the H. If we go on increasing the value of H, then after a certain point you get with a sudden jerk, again the PM starts increasing. That means to overcome that obstruction, a large external force is required. And as soon as that force is attained, again the domain wall expands smoothly. till the next imperfection is reached. So, in the process of from normal condition to this highest point of saturation, the material has to overcome a certain number of hurdles. Now, by overcoming all these hurdles, now it comes here at the saturation stage. Now, in that condition, if we reduce the value of the external field, now we reduce the value of the external field, then what will happen? Again the domain wall start inward moving, but again the same imperfections will reach. Now it comes here, again the external magnetic field is reduced to a greater extent, then they may come here. After that, if H is going to 0, then it will no longer come to its original position, because the process is not irreversible. It is not reversible, irreversible process. So in that case, suppose the H becomes 0 down here and the material remains in this position. So if the material remains in this position, that means it gains some net magnetic moment, because this region has a strong magnetic moment compared to these others. So here you get a resultant magnetic moment. This is called the residual magnetization or remanence, and due to this, when we place a piece of iron in an external magnetic field for some time and take it out, it becomes a magnet. So the value of the residual magnetization for those material whose value of the residual magnetization is large, that material is more suitable for making the permanent magnets. So that's why when the magnetic field is reduced, by which the saturation point is reached, then the material no longer comes to its original position and it retains certain residual magnetization. And that's why the ferromagnetic materials can be magnetized and permanent magnets can be produced from that ferromagnetic material. Again, if you want to make it, take it its normal condition, then you have to apply the external field in the opposite direction. Now we apply the external field to opposite direction, then only it comes to its original position. Therefore, the minimum value of the external field in the opposite direction, which is required to make the remnant magnetization 0, that is called that value of the magnetic field in the opposite direction is called the coercive force or coercivity of the material. Coercive force. That is the minimum value of the external magnetizing field in the opposite direction to make the remnant magnetization 0. That is called the coercive force or coercivity of the material. Now, so in this process, what we observe, that when the external magnetic field is applied, the material becomes magnetized. So work is done on the material by the external field. Now when the external field is switched off, now the work is done by the material itself, not by the external magnetic field. And we observe that it comes at this position. That means certain magnetization is retained by the material. So, as the process is not reversible, so more work is done on the material than recovered from it. So, in each cycle of magnetization, once the H is going from here to here at this position, material goes to its highest intensity of magnetization, then it comes to 0, it returns up to this magnetization. Again the external magnetic field is in the opposite direction, then it comes to 0, and again when it comes here it reaches its highest saturation point in the opposite direction. Again it comes to 0, it comes here, it returns certain magnetization. So in a one complete cycle of magnetization, starting from 0 to this, then again 0, then again in this direction, then comes 0, one complete cycle. So in each complete cycle of magnetization, more work is done on the material than recovered from it. So in each cycle of magnetization, some energy is lost. And this loss of energy is called the hysteresis loss. You cannot make it 0. You can minimize by considering different kinds of alloys of the ferromagnetic material. One can minimize it but cannot make it 0. So here we observe that intensity of magnetization is lagging behind the magnetizing field by which it is produced. Now the definition of hysteresis, that is the loss of energy in each cycle of magnetization in a ferromagnetic material, it is called the hysteresis, and the lagging of intensity of magnetization. PM behind the magnetizing force H is called hysteresis. Intensity of magnetization is always lagging behind H. So this is hysteresis. Now therefore in the electrical appliances, generally there are ferromagnetic materials are used, the iron cores are used in different motors and fans and electric transformers. So there a huge amount of energy is lost due to hysteresis, and the heat is produced there. So to minimize this loss of energy, say different kinds of materials are selected so that the loss of energy could be minimized. Now mathematically we shall calculate. In the next class we shall calculate mathematically the dissipation of energy per unit volume per magnetic cycle in a ferromagnetic material, and we shall show that is equal to the PMH loop or BH loop, that is called the hysteresis loop of that particular material.